6 miles beneath your feet, the rock is not solid, it is not cold, it is not still. At that depth, the temperature of the Earth's crust exceeds 300 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, hot enough to flash water into superheated steam in milliseconds, hot enough to drive a turbine that could power an entire city. And that heat is not the product of any fuel being burned. It is not generated by any chemical reaction that will eventually exhaust itself. It is the residual thermal energy of planetary formation, supplemented by the continuous radioactive decay of elements inside the Earth's mantle. A process that has been running without interruption for approximately 4.5 billion years and will continue running for billions more. The Earth is, in the most literal physical sense, a nuclear reactor, a slow, ancient, impossibly vast heat engine sitting directly beneath every city, every farm, every data center, and every home on the planet. And for most of human history, we have been completely unable to access it in any meaningful quantity. Not because the energy wasn't there, but because we couldn't drill deep enough, cheaply enough, to reach the temperatures that make it useful. That has now changed. A technology called Enhanced Geothermal Systems, EGS, has quietly moved from theoretical engineering concept to working demonstration over the past several years. And the implications, if the drilling economics continue to improve the way the data currently suggests they will, are almost too large to state calmly. We are talking about baseload clean energy available at virtually any location on Earth's surface, at any time in any weather, with no fuel cost, no emissions, and a heat source that will outlast every other energy technology humanity has ever devised by a margin measured in geological epochs. So why haven't you heard about it? And why are the same people who built the American oil industry now quietly pivoting to drill for heat instead of hydrocarbons? Let's find out. Before we go any further, if you've been looking for a channel that covers the engineering breakthroughs that actually matter before the rest of the internet figures out they matter, this is it. Hit like and subscribe to Lost Tech Vault. We do not cover what's trending, we cover what's coming. And what's coming with this technology may be bigger than anything we've reported on before. To understand what enhanced geothermal systems actually are, you first need to understand what conventional geothermal power is, and precisely why it has never scaled the way its proponents always believed it should. Conventional geothermal power is not a new idea. The world's first geothermal power plant came online in Larderello, Italy, in 1904 when Piero Ginori Conti used natural steam venting from the earth to drive a small generator. The technology spread slowly through the 20th century, finding its most productive applications in geologically active regions: Iceland, New Zealand, Kenya, and parts of California and Nevada, where tectonic activity pushes heat unusually close to the surface. In these locations, naturally occurring hot water and steam reservoirs sit at accessible depths, and drilling into them produces clean, reliable power with remarkable simplicity. The problem is geography. Naturally occurring hydrothermal reservoirs are rare. They require a specific coincidence of underground heat, permeable rock, and naturally present water in the same location. That combination exists in perhaps 2 to 3% of the Earth's land surface. For the other 97% of the planet, including most of the United States east of the Rockies, most of Europe, most of Asia, and virtually all of Africa, conventional geothermal power is simply not an option. The heat is there. It is always there. But without the natural plumbing to access it, it stays locked in impermeable rock thousands of meters below where drilling has historically been practical. Enhanced geothermal systems exist to solve exactly this problem. The concept is to create the plumbing artificially, to drill into hot, dry rock that has no natural water content and no natural permeability, engineer a reservoir by fracturing the rock hydraulically, inject water down one borehole, let it absorb the thermal energy of the surrounding rock, and extract the now superheated water or steam through a second borehole to drive a conventional power turbine at the surface. In theory, this unlocks geothermal energy almost everywhere on Earth. In practice, making it work reliably, safely, and economically has been one of the hardest engineering challenges in the energy industry for the past 50 years. The history of attempts to crack this problem is littered with ambitious projects that stumbled at the critical moment. The first serious Enhanced Geothermal Systems research program launched in the 1970s at a site called Fenton Hill in New Mexico, run by Los Alamos National Laboratory. The engineers drilled to depths exceeding 3 miles, fractured the granite, and successfully circulated water through the induced reservoir. They proved the concept worked in principle, but the flow rates they achieved were too low to generate power economically. The boreholes lost heat faster than models predicted, and the project was defunded before the engineering problems could be resolved. Similar projects in Cornwall in the United Kingdom, in Basel in Switzerland, and in Cooper Basin in Australia followed over the next 3 decades. Each one demonstrated that the physics were sound. Each one encountered drilling costs and reservoir performance challenges that made the economics unworkable at the energy prices of the time. Basel added a new complication in 2006 when its Enhanced Geothermal Systems project triggered a series of small earthquakes that were felt at the surface, causing the Swiss government to shut it down entirely and triggering a regulatory backlash against induced seismicity that slowed development across Europe for years. By 2010, many energy analysts had quietly moved enhanced geothermal systems into the category of technologies that work beautifully on a whiteboard, but cannot survive contact with actual geology. What they did not anticipate was that an entirely separate industry was about to solve the drilling problem for them. The American shale revolution of the 2000s and 2010s was one of the most consequential technological developments in the history of energy. Through a combination of horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing, the oil and gas industry learned how to extract hydrocarbons from tight rock formations that had previously been considered inaccessible. In doing so, they developed a suite of drilling technologies, downhole sensors, fracturing techniques, and reservoir modeling capabilities that did not exist in the geothermal industry, and that the geothermal industry could never have funded on its own. The engineers who built those capabilities looked at enhanced geothermal systems and saw a familiar problem. You are drilling into hard rock. You are fracturing it to create permeability. You are managing fluid flow through a subsurface reservoir. The temperatures are higher and the depths are greater, but the fundamental engineering toolkit transfers with remarkable directness. A company called Fervo Energy, spun out of MIT, is taking this convergence further than anyone. Rather than using conventional rotary drill bits which wear out rapidly in the extremely hard crystalline rock found at the depths where temperatures become truly useful, Fervo is developing a millimeter wave energy drilling system, essentially a directed energy beam derived from fusion reactor research that vaporizes rock rather than grinding through it. Their engineering projections suggest this approach could reduce the cost of drilling to the depths required for high-temperature, enhanced geothermal systems by as much as 90% compared to conventional methods. But the project generating the most real-world data right now is being run by a company called Fervo Energy, operating a demonstration site in northern Nevada. Fervo applied horizontal drilling techniques borrowed directly from the shale industry to geothermal reservoirs, drilling horizontally through hot rock to dramatically increase the surface area of rock in contact with circulating water. Their Project Red demonstration facility, independently verified by Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, achieved sustained power output with flow rates and temperatures that no previous enhanced geothermal system project had reached. The results were significant enough that Google signed a power purchase agreement with Fervo, making it the world's first commercial enhanced geothermal system electricity contract. The United States Department of Energy's own analysis, published as part of its Enhanced Geothermal Shot initiative, concluded that enhanced geothermal systems could realistically supply 90 gigawatts of firm, clean electricity to the American grid by 2050, enough to power approximately 65 million homes, at a cost that would be competitive with natural gas generation without any carbon pricing mechanism whatsoever. The honest accounting demands acknowledging what remains genuinely difficult. Induced seismicity is a real engineering challenge, not a fringe concern. Anytime you inject fluid into rock at pressure and fracture it, you are altering the stress state of the subsurface. Done carelessly, this can trigger earthquakes. Done carefully, with proper site selection, real-time seismic monitoring, and conservative operational protocols, the evidence from well-managed projects suggests the risk can be reduced to levels comparable to other forms of industrial activity. but it requires rigor and transparency that the industry does not yet have a universal track record of providing. The drilling costs, while falling, have not yet reached the levels required for EGS to be broadly deployable without subsidy. Quasi's millimeter wave drilling system remains pre-commercial. Fervo's horizontal EGS approach has proven the concept, but has not yet demonstrated it at gigawatt scale. What has shifted irrevocably is the credibility of the engineering pathway. For 50 years, Enhanced Geothermal Systems was a concept looking for a drilling technology that could make it practical. That technology now exists, or is close enough to existing, that the remaining gap is an engineering problem with a plausible solution, not a fundamental physical barrier. The Earth has been generating heat continuously since before complex life existed on its surface. It will still be generating that heat long after every solar panel manufactured today has degraded beyond usefulness, long after every lithium battery has completed its final discharge cycle, long after the fuel rods in every nuclear reactor currently operating have been spent and stored. The hole they drilled is not a hole to hell. It is a connection to the oldest, largest, most patient energy source this planet has ever possessed. The question was never whether the energy was there. It was always whether we were clever enough to reach it. The data from Nevada suggests we finally are. If you want to understand the other ancient energy sources that modern engineering is finally learning to unlock, including one that uses temperature differences in the ocean to generate baseload power with no fuel source whatsoever, subscribe to Lost Tech Vault and watch our next video right now.